Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with a new video. Two videos today, one at noon and one at 8, all times Eastern. But just to let you know, the rest of this week, I will be headed to New York City, and I will not be doing 2 videos a day. I do have Wednesday, that's tomorrow, a video of ranking something where I do it with another YouTuber like we did before. This time we're going to rank the worst vintage card backs. You're going to want to check that one out. And I might have a few classics thrown up here and there. But hit the notification or come back each day and check until I'm back from New York. And then we'll get back on our regular schedule. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, I don't know about you. I love game shows in the 80s. I ain't gonna say I love game shows in the 80s. I just like watching some game shows in the 80s because it usually meant I was sick from school or had a day off from school. Maybe it was summertime. You know, you start your day with maybe some Captain Kangaroo. And then, before you know it, game shows until about noon or about 1 o'clock, and then the soap operas would start, and your mom or your grandma or somebody had to watch soap operas. Or if you're like me, you had to watch Guiding Light. You had to see what that Roger Thorpe was up to. But anyway, game shows. Now, there was a lot of them. I love tic-tac-toe. I love that. I love when they get that dragon at the end. It used to get me all excited. Like, come, I would root for the dragon. I know you're supposed to root for the dragon. And then you had the other one where you go, whammy, or Press Your Luck. You yell whammy. That was always a weird one. Price is Right was a staple growing up, of course, with Bob Barker. Can you believe that guy's still alive? I know I can't. Card Sharks. Everyone that knows me knows Card Sharks, probably my all-time favorite game show. I love playing that with a deck of cards. My kids get mad at me because I get overboard with it. But anyway, there were a few game shows that just didn't click, just didn't become popular, or just wasn't any good. And being that I was usually at my grandma's house, she watched her game shows, and I was stuck watching them, and I hated these game shows. So I got right here, 10 80s game shows. Ooh, I just could not stand. Let's go to the first one here. It lasted about 1 season. It was kind of a spin-off of the Win, Lose, or Draw. It was called Win, Lose, or Date. This is where contestants would go on a date with 3 people. If it was a guy, he would go on a date with 3 girls, come back, and he would have to draw the one girl that he wanted to go on more dates with, and his buddies had to guess out of the 3 which one he would draw. It was hosted by Larry Wilcox, and man, it sucked. It sucked so bad. I hated it. Ugh. My grandma used to get so mad. That don't look nothing like her. And I was like, oh. Whew. Number 9, hey, look over there. It's Cash and Prizes. Now, if you ask me, this is probably the worst name for a game show. Maybe a tagline would have worked, but no, as a name for a game show, I didn't like it. Again, it's called, hey, look over there. It's Cash and Prizes. I guess they went right to the point. This is a game show that was hosted by Shirley Booth, and what it was, the player had to guess if the prize on the left of the stage or the right of the stage, which one was the dud, which one was the prize. You know, like you say, hey, I want that. It's kind of like Let's Make a Deal, where you pick what was behind the curtain. This one you would say, oh, I think the dud is on the left, and then they reveal it, and you're like, oh man, a color TV set, oh no, it's not a dud. So that means you lost and you don't get any prizes. I always wonder if you got to take the dud home. I was never sure about that. Then there was some game shows for kids. Remember that, kids? Game show for kids. This is one, I like the concept of it, but it just didn't really work for me. It was hosted by Mark Summers, who hosted a lot of kid game shows, called Clean Your Room. Oh, just the name of that one can make my hair stand up. Because, like, what if my mom hears someone saying that, and it'll remind her to tell me to clean my room? Oh, this was a kid's show where they would hide a prize in a messy room, and the kid had to find it. I think it was on Nickelodeon. It was kind of fun. It just went on. It was a almost 2 hour game show. It just went on a little too long. But they would answer the questions about the prize that was hidden, and that would give them a clue what they're looking for. Then they would go into the messy room, and these rooms make my room look like Spick and Span Laundryman, because it was Messy Room. They got the name. But yeah, Messy Rooms by Mark Summers. Here's one that was hosted by Mabel King called Mugshot. I like the name. I thought this was a good name for a game show, Mugshot. But this is where players had to answer questions about famous works of art. So you can see it just wasn't. I didn't want to. It was too high class, highbrow. I mean, probably the city folks might have watched Mugshot, but by the name, I thought it was going to be a lot more fun. But they would show like a famous art drawing, and you would answer a trivia question, and one little square would disappear. And the more questions they answered, the more squares would disappear to reveal the art, and you had to say what the art was. And I don't know art, so I never could get into that one. Another one I could not get into was Pennies from Heaven. Do you remember that one, Pennies from Heaven? Oh, Ralph Carter was the host of Pennies from Heaven. And this is where contestants had to name a Broadway show tune in less than 5 seconds. Yeah. It's kind of like name that tune, but you had less than 5 seconds to name a Broadway show tune. You give me 2 hours, I ain't naming no Broadway show tune. No, I'm not doing. Get out of here. No, I'm not doing that. And as I said, we all grew up on Price is Right, but did you know there was a spinoff? That's right, there was a spinoff of Price is Right hosted by Wink Martindale. He hosted a lot of shows back then called The Price is a Deal. And this is where contestants would use like 4 different catalogs, like a Sears catalog, a JCPenney's catalog, a Revco catalog, some catalog where they had to find the best deal. Like they would say, okay, today's deal is a color TV by Zenith, 52-inch here with remote control. You would have to go through these catalogs, and you had like 1 minute. You had to go through all these catalogs to find which one was the best deal. And you say, I think this was the best deal. And then they would get you. We're like, although the retail price of this one is a fair deal, shipping will cost you more than the other catalogs, so you have lost. It was weird. It only lasted like 2.5 episodes. It was very weird. Another one for kids that I liked was hosted by Isabel Sanford, was called Lunchbox. Lunchbox, that's a good name. You know, I love having a lunchbox as a kid. This is where kids had to guess what was in another kid's lunchbox. Now, I think there were actors, but you had the kids on the show, the contestants, and they would bring a kid out, dress him kind of fat and nerdy or something, maybe give him a lunchbox with like Ironside on it. So you kind of get a feel of the character. He would stand there with his lunchbox, and they would give you a little trivia about him, and you had to guess what was in his lunchbox. You know, if he looked like he'd eat an apple, there'd be an apple in his lunchbox. If he looks like top to eat a bologna sandwich, there's a bologna sandwich in his lunchbox. I don't know. I like the concept. Didn't really last. And Jimmy J.J. Walker, hosted a spinoff to a game show called Make Me Laugh. I like Make Me Laugh. Remember that? Make Me Laugh. In the 70s, Gallagher would come on or something, try to make the contestants laugh. Well, this one was called Make Me Smirk. And that's all you needed was to get if you got a smirk, the comedian, I guess, lost because they made you smirk, and you don't win a fabulous prize. I don't know. It just, Make Me Laugh, I could understand. You know, they had holding the laugh, but Make Me Smirk, I think they were just reaching with that one right there. Number 2, Whippersnappers. Remember they had Whippersnappers, hosted by Franklin Cover. Franklin Cover hosted Whippersnappers. And this is where they would bring probably older guests, older contestants on, and then they would bring a kid out, and the kid would say something like radical, and they had to explain what that meant. They would have a choice. They'd be like, okay, let's say, this guy in his 40s would come out, and he'd be like, here's insurance salesman Dan Divahan. And he would be all snobby and everything, and then they'd bring out this little 12-year-old punk from the 80s, and he would say, man, that's radical. And then the host would say, okay, Dan, radical means, and he would list off what radical means, and the guy had to guess. It was stupid. I kind of enjoyed it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I kind of enjoyed it. I didn't like it, but I just like seeing what words they would say. That way I could use them the next day when I went to school. And probably the worst 80s game show that most people forgot about is one hosted by Whitman Mayo. Whitman Mayo hosted this one, and it was called What's in My Pocket? This was where the host would come out, he would ask a bunch of trivia questions. He would pick somebody from the audience, kind of like Price is Right or Let's Make a Deal. He'd pick somebody from the audience, and he would ask them trivia questions. I think it was 5 questions. If they got at least 4 of them right, they got to pick what was in his jacket pocket, left or right. Sometimes there would be nothing in it. Sometimes it'd be something stupid like oh man, you pulled out my bus pass for the week. So there's like, oh man, but then you're like, oh man, you pulled out a gold watch. So you never knew what you were gonna pull out of Whitman Mayo's pocket. It was kind of I think it was just ahead of its time, to be honest with you. I think today it might work with the internet and interactive stuff. I think it would work today. Just back then it was kind of it's kind of different for that time period. Anyway, that's a look at some 80 game shows that I loved. Well, I hated as a kid. That's right. I forgot what the video was. Hated as a kid. Anyway, let me know some game shows you loved or hated as a kid, and we'll see you back here tonight at 8 o'clock. Thank you for watching. Thumbs up and like my content. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.